Some say the first and second seasons of Prison Break are definitely among the most classic in the history of American TV shows, with the third season slowly descending from its pedestal. But once you've seen the third season, you'll realize that even taken on its own, it can outclass 99.9% of current American TV shows. Michael is locked up in the notorious Sona prison, and upon arrival, he finally understands the true meaning of hell on earth. The inmates are the most vicious criminals from all over Panama. Due to frequent riots, the government has decided to step back, retreating outside the prison walls and setting up guard posts, leaving the inmates to fend for themselves. Anyone daring to step half a step out of the prison gates would be instantly turned into a beehive of bullets. Even a tiny mouse. Once a month, the guards deliver some drinking water and food, and casually take away bodies, no matter how they died. To ensure no one is faking death, they would shoot the bodies a few more times before burying them in a pit outside the secure area. In this place, where there are no rules or order, only the law of the jungle prevails. The prisoners follow a bloody tradition. If someone throws a chicken foot at you, it means you must duel, and you cannot refuse, until one of you is dead. Michael witnesses this brutal slaughter on his first day in prison. No matter how smart he is, there's no place for him to use his brains here, as it seems to be filled with unevolved barbarians. The next day, Mahone finds Michael and suggests they escape together, given Michael's expertise in breaking out of prisons, but Michael flatly refuses, because it was Mahone who killed his father, and if it weren't for Mahone's relentless pursuit, he wouldn't be in this situation. Upon leaving, a boy wearing a McGrady jersey shows unusual enthusiasm towards the new American inmate, as he was talking about McGrady's miraculous 35 seconds, 13 points performance. His expression suddenly changes, and he quickly runs away with the basketball.
Let's go, Blanco. Orientation.
I'm not interested.
It's not for you to decide.
The person is Sammy, the winner of last night's chicken foot throwing duel. Sammy is taking the new inmates to meet Lechero, the leader of Sona prison. Surprisingly, in such a dirty and chaotic place, Lechero's room is a world apart. Not only does he have women serving him, but his room's furnishings are also vastly different from the other inmates. Turns out, Lechero was once a well-known local drug lord, and even after being captured, he still had relatives on the outside to handle affairs for him. Lechero enjoys certain privileges by bribing the head guard, managing the prisoners of Sona prison. The reason he called the new inmates over was to intimidate them and assert his dominance. However, Lechero didn't notice his woman, Mary, was completely enamored with the handsome Michael. Lechero emphasized that conflicts must not be resolved privately. If you have a problem with someone, throw a chicken foot to challenge them to a duel, fighting one-on-one until one party is dead. Men with poor mental strength were so frightened they wet their pants.
I think he gets the message.
We could go, you and me, right here. A brave man, brave man. You're lucky I've been meditating. Before I couldn't take my finger off the trigger, but now.
After establishing his dominance, Lechero lets the others go and then turns to scold Mary.
He has that charisma, right, mommy?
He's no you, not compared to you.
I told you, mommy.
¿Quién sabe? Quizás.
Salte de aquí!
Lechero, although ugly but still have a sense of self-awareness. Looking out of the window, that handsome face, Lechero heart full of jealousy. Michael never imagined his good looks would bring him such deadly trouble. In the afternoon, when he returns to his cell, a burly man suddenly rushes in. Before understanding what's happening, World is choking Michael, muttering that Michael stole his stuff. The hypocritical Lechero arrives just in time and orders Sammy to search the bed, where they indeed find a small package of drugs under Michael's bunk. Michael then realizes this is a blatant frame-up. But what use is knowing, when World, weighing 300 pounds, has already thrown a chicken foot on his table. Bellic hasn't eaten for 3 days, and looking at the muddy, dirty water, he couldn't help but stick out his tongue to lick it. But even such water, the old inmates were unwilling to spare for him. This is Bellic's third day in Sona prison, where he hasn't had a drop of water or a grain of rice, and even his clothes and shoes have been stolen by other inmates. At this time, the kind-hearted Sapo helped him up. They are the lowest status inmates here, and beggars do not have the right to be allocated food or drinking water. In the afternoon, Bellic noticed that Sapo suddenly had a new pair of shoes on his feet. Sapo said nothing, just glanced at a body not far away. Bellic also wanted to strip the clothes off the body, but then Sammy, the second in command of the prison, ordered them to clean the toilets, saying they would be given food after the work was done.
One more word from you, and I will drown you in here, you understand?
Sammy threw them a stinking mop and ordered them to take the trash to the sewer to burn it after cleaning. But after the work was done, the person distributing food gave them only a gnawed bone. Sapo could no longer tolerate such inhuman treatment. He glanced at a slightly loose security window in a cell and stealthily climbed up, pulling hard, and finally tore the security window down. Sapo jumped the 3-meter-high fence, dragging his broken leg with him as he ran recklessly outside. Bellic shouted not to do it, but it was already too late. Michael also saw the scene. In this hellish Sona prison, inmates are like ants, and nobody cares about their life or death. After losing his companion, Bellic had to clean the toilets alone, but when burning the trash, suddenly a whistle came from inside the sewer wall. Bellic looked through a crack in the bricks and saw a person hiding inside. The man asked him for a favor. Bellic initially didn't want to pay attention, but the person directly pushed a strip of meat through the crack. Although Bellic realized it was rat meat, to him at that moment, it was a delicacy. The man said if he wanted more meat, he had to stuff these 2 notes into the pockets of the 2 people who were going to duel today. And the people who were to duel were Michael and a 300-pound World. Just yesterday, Lechero, jealous of Michael's good looks, had World accused Michael of stealing his stuff and threw a chicken foot at Michael. This is a unique ritual in Sona prison. If there is a dispute, the only way to resolve it is a one-on-one unarmed duel until one party is dead, and the chicken foot is the token of challenge. At that moment, with the crowd's violent mood at its peak, Michael fiddled with the chicken foot in his hand, never imagining he would bet his life on such a thing. More ironically, the only person willing to help him was Mahone, who had been chasing him outside the prison. Mahone helped him because Michael was his only hope of escaping this prison. As a combat expert, Mahone reminded Michael that a kick to the opponent's knee could easily take down even the strongest enemy. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd eager for a spectacle, Michael stepped into the center of the arena. One step at a time, Bellic emerged from the crowd, wishing him luck while stealthily slipping a note into Michael's pocket. At the same time, he used the same trick to slip another note into World's pocket. Lechero reiterated that no weapons could be used and no cover sought until one party was dead. As Lechero gently waved a red ribbon in his hand, the life-and-death duel officially began. But at that moment, Michael suddenly shouted at Lechero,
I'm not gonna fight!
Taking advantage of World's distraction, Michael swiftly kicked at his knee, followed by a series of punches that knocked World down. Seeing that World couldn't move, Michael turned around and left, but the crowd stopped him with a fierce look on their faces.
Think you understand the rules, friend? Only one man comes out alive.
World struggled to stand up, and the two were once again locked in a deadly fight. With the opponent's movements hindered, Michael executed another combination, knocking him down again. But at that moment, someone in the crowd threw World a knife. Taking advantage of Michael's intention to leave, World picked up a small knife and stabbed back at Michael. In a critical moment, Mahone intervened with a swift move, adding a chokehold to neatly take down the cheating World.
No weapons! Rules are rules, remember? If we don't have them, we're savages.
Seeing his plan to eliminate Michael fail, Lechero turned and returned to his room without looking back. Not long after, the once-a-month visit from the guards brought drinking water and food to the prison, and they also took away several bodies from inside. Worried about anyone faking death, they shot the bodies a few more times before transporting them outside the isolation area to be left in the wilderness. After the guards left, a woman pretending to be a relative of an inmate came to collect the bodies. She searched each body and finally found the note in World's pocket. Seeing the content, the woman smiled satisfactorily. Michael, confused, wondered what the mysterious notes Bellic slipped into their pockets were for. Just then, Michael's brother Lincoln came for a visit, now a cleared and legal citizen. However, Lincoln brought a piece of news that left Michael in utter despair.
Talk! Dad. Dad. I'm so sorry. They got me and Sarah. Please. Do what they want, Dad, please.
It turns out the company had kidnapped LJ and Sarah and threatened Michael to break a man named James out of prison. This was exactly why the general had gone to great lengths to get Michael into Sona prison. There's a kind of people in the world who can adapt to various environments like chameleons. In Fox River State Penitentiary, he was the notorious leader of the White Gang, commanding respect and fear. As long as you held his pocket, no one in the prison would dare to lay a finger on you. And today is T-Bag's first day in the infamous Sona prison. Seeing that the boss, Lechero, had dirty shoes, T-Bag immediately ran over, kneeled on one knee, gestured for Lechero to place his foot on his knee, and declared that shining his shoes was an honor. During the shoe shine, T-Bag makes a small, deliberate mistake and then pathetically claims he's a wreck. A sign of weakness that makes Lechero lower his guard. After a few days of flattering and pleasing, T-Bag secured the position of the third in command in Sona prison. Meanwhile, three old acquaintances who arrived on the same day each fared worse than the other. Bellick became a prison beggar, begging for leftovers from other inmates. Mahone, suffering from severe bipolar disorder and without tranquilizers in the prison, was becoming increasingly unstable and desperately wanted to escape. Michael, because of his good looks, attracted the attention of Lechero's woman, leading Lechero to try every means possible to have him killed. To make matters worse, a mysterious company kidnapped Sarah and LJ and demanded he bring a man named James out of the prison. However, Michael searched the entire prison and could not find this person. McGrady, who had been in for 3 years, told him that here, no one did not want to find James. Just a few weeks ago, James killed the son of the Panama City mayor in a bar fight. After being sent to Sona prison, he disappeared without a trace like vapor. The mayor offered Lechero a deal. If anyone could kill James, the murderer would be given a chance for a friendly court decision, meaning anyone not guilty of a particularly serious crime could leave and regain their freedom. As they were speaking, Sammy, the second in command of the prison, got into an argument with someone and accidentally knocked over the newly arrived drinking water. The inmates in line were dumbfounded, knowing that in this place, the value of that barrel of water was comparable to gold. The guards won't deliver water again until 2 weeks later, meaning without this barrel, the inmates are likely to die of thirst. Sammy was Lechero's man, but the inmates didn't care who was in charge here. One of them started leading the others and cursing under Lechero's window. Luckily, Michael was near the front and got half a bottle of water. From a distance, he saw poor Bellick licking the valve. Suddenly remembering the note Bellick had mysteriously placed in his pocket during yesterday's duel, Michael approached Bellick to ask about his purpose.
You slipped this note in my pocket yesterday. Why?
My memory's a little foggy on account of this thirst.
Bellick confessed everything about the person hiding in the sewer wall. Michael guessed this person might be James and hurried to the sewer. When Michael said he was there to help him escape, the person inside finally responded. It turned out to be James, who knew that once outside, all the inmates would want him dead, which is why he had hidden in the sewer. Michael asked him to hold on for a day or two more, until he figured out a way to get him out. But when Michael came out, he didn't notice Mahone had set his sights on him. Meanwhile, more and more inmates gathered in the square, clamoring for Lechero to come down and explain. Lechero called the guards, but they said the water truck couldn't arrive until the day after tomorrow at the earliest. He had no choice but to ask T-Bag to bring a small bucket of water for each of them to take a sip. However, when T-Bag walked through the hallway, he encountered pitiful Bellick again, who wanted to sell information to Lechero in exchange for survival.
Boy, you won't be drinking your own urine before you get any of this.
I got something.
Oh yeah, you got yourself the untouchable status.
T-Bag thought for a moment. Helping Bellick could solidify his position in Lechero's eyes, so why not do a favor? Thus, under T-Bag's introduction, Bellick finally met Lechero and spilled everything about the person hiding in the sewer. Lechero knew right away this person must be James, so he quickly sent a few men to catch the person in the sewer. When Bellick came out of Lechero's room, he was dressed in a belly shirt and leopard print pants, holding a cornbread in his hand. Michael, ever so clever, saw Bellick well-fed and clothed and immediately understood what had happened. He rushed to the sewer only to find not only Lechero's men there but also Mahone with a crowbar, twisting James out. It turns out that when he spotted Michael coming out of the sewers, he also got the information from McGrady and got there first. Smashing through the wall and grabbing James, Michael pleaded with Mahone not to kill him, promising to find a way to escape together. But Mahone wasn't foolish. Killing James would grant him freedom, so why bother with extra steps? As the standoff continued, James took the opportunity to break free and escaped back into the sewer. Michael knew well that catching James in such a confined space was only a matter of time, and lingering here would not alter the outcome. So, he hurried to Lechero's room, wanting to make a deal. Michael said, "I'll solve your drinking water problem if you give James to me." Lechero scoffed, saying he'd ask Michael's old acquaintances if he was trustworthy.
Can I trust this Bobo?
He's a snake. He stabbed me in the back every chance he got.
A snake who stab a man in the back. I never heard of such a creature before.
As the riot outside grew worse, Michael sought another chance but was sternly sent away by Lechero. Perhaps his only option now was to secure drinking water first. The only way to save James